Hi there, listeners. Cammie here. Hope you enjoy the show. If you want to find out more or you'd like to get in touch with us at all, then head on over to www.horrormeltdown.podbean.com or track us down on the Podbean app. Podbean app is available on the Apple Store and on the Google Play Store. Thanks for listening. Ahoy there, and welcome to the Captain's Horror Meltdown.
I like your
Cammie.
like what you've done there.
Totally.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Let's. Okay, we'll give it another try.
No, I like that way. I like how that started. Let's
okay.
Go crack on, man. Just crack on.
Ahoy there, and welcome to the Captain's Horror Meltdown with me, Cammie, your captain, or me, your captain, Cammie, and able seaman Jon.
Why am I
by my side?
Am I now able seaman Jon?
Well, I don't know what else you could be.
Well, it's just Jon sounds a bit plain compared to Captain Cammie, certainly.
Cammie. Maybe, I don't know. What would you like to be? Chief harpoonist?
Yeah, why not, man? Why not?
Okay, well, anyway, welcome to the Captain's Horror Meltdown with Cammie and Jon. And this is our first episode, so we're going to be finding our feet a little bit.
I'd say a lot.
I envisage this as a horror cinema version of Radio 6 Music's long-running show, The Chain.
Just with more lager and stuff. Yeah.
more booze and with films instead of music. We're going to, Jon and I are both lifelong horror fans, and we are going to take a amble into the dark side, picking a different film week to week and seeing where we end up. This has all come about because we, for the last couple of years, have been doing a podcast which initially started off covering films of Kevin Smith. It was called Face Punching Kevin Smith.
Yep.
A charming title which we had to explain
time
constantly.
And time again. Yeah,
Absolutely constantly. And that was followed up by season 2, Face Punching Quentin Tarantino, which we also had to explain constantly.
So at that point we changed the name of the podcast, and then I've only recorded one episode in the last 6 months or so. So
never got to season 3.
I think it will come back in some way, but we're going to have a crack at this. But I suppose, Cammie, you should explain why we're doing it, I guess.
Yeah, well, as I said, we're lifelong horror fans, and our co-pilot on the Face Punching series was our good friend Kat Golick, and she is a total fearty. total fearty. So we often joked about a sort of famous challenging double bill that we'd set ourselves. I think it was actually you that set it up initially, Jon.
Yeah, I used to do it on a yearly basis, but yeah.
The old Eden Lake followed by Martyrs. We often said to Kat that we were going to force her into doing the double bill for the podcast, but effectively we couldn't bring ourselves to torment her so much, so we thought, sod it, we'll just do it ourselves.
Yep, I think that seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
I think we made some plans last weekend, but a lot of the aforementioned booze was involved, so I'm not really 100% what any of those plans were.
Yeah, and our old podcast, actually, we reviewed films, but we also reviewed booze at the same time.
That classic combination for podcasts.
Classic podcast combo. But this time round, we will not be reviewing booze, but we'll mainly be drinking it.
Well, we'll be drinking. If something really nice comes up, I'll let you know, maybe. But yeah. Thus far, it's just gin. I never got on to a little craft lager, which is all right. I'm getting too involved in the booze again. But here we go. It's old habits die hard, I guess.
Well, I'm sitting. I've got quite a hefty gin and a couple of small beers to see me through. So
excellent.
We'll see how we go on. And I suppose if you've downloaded this and you're listening to it, you've probably noticed that our first film is in the title, and we are watching Eden Lake, 2008's Eden Lake.
Did you do anything interesting after the week? Have you been off?
I worked for the first couple of days. I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and finished up yesterday. And no. So I got back home last night and had the joyous film Eden Lake to watch.
I, on the other hand, on Monday night I had my mum up, so that was like a horror podcast all of its own.
Did you watch Eden Lake with her?
No, but Hamish and I, our friend Hamish and I, were out to watch the latest Purge film.
Oh, and how was it? It was the first Purge.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yep, very well done. It was massively average. What was more horrifying was when I got home and saw my mum, and she was like, "You'll never guess what's happened." I was like, what the fuck? Now, bear in mind, she's in charge of 2 children who are 2 and 5 at this moment. So my mind is spinning as to what she might be talking about. But it was nothing as simple as that. She had gone for a bath.
Yeah.
Somehow managed to turn on the shower.
Oh.
Now, my mum has a strange phobia about showers. She never takes showers. She only has a bath. And she goes, I turned the shower on and I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, I just couldn't turn it off, and it was boiling hot water, and the room was filling with steam. I didn't know what to do. I was like really panicking. I'm just like, what? This is the challenge of my mum. Things like this happen. But it got to the point she couldn't figure out how to turn it off, and went to my next door neighbour.
What?
To say, I can't turn off the shower. My next door neighbour had to come in and turn off the shower for her. And I got back and she goes, and the boiler's been making this really weird, loud noise ever since. And she goes, can you hear it? I was like, Mum, that's the extractor fan in the bathroom. So, having my mum over is a challenge at times, I have to say, but that was a particular highlight of recent years.
Wow.
Wow. But yeah, so that's been that. But yeah.
Well, more eventful than my week. I basically got quite pissed most days. Monday, I guess I was finished by sort of mid-afternoon, and I was crashing with Verti.
Oh, actually, speaking of Verti,
yep.
The reason I went to see the film was because of him.
Yeah, well, he was talking it up the other day, actually. He was saying it was pretty good.
I heard him on Radio Scotland.
So was he reviewing it?
Yeah. No, I didn't catch the whole thing. I just caught the tail end, where if there's a film that I haven't been reviewing, the presenter always asks about something they would recommend outside of those films.
Oh, okay.
And his was The Purge. I was like, it must be pretty decent. I'll have words with him next time I see him.
I think he said he did say it was pretty average. He thought, but he said he thought it was pretty good compared to some of the other Purge films.
Yeah, I really like the first one. As you know, I'm a big fan of home invasion films. So The Purge ticks a lot of boxes there for me. Thanks for the tip, Verti. That's Mr. Graham Virtue, journalist, no less.
Journalist and film reviewer, general culture.
Yes,
reviewer.
He gets paid to do it. Speaking of reviewing films,
shall we?
What a link! Fucking hell.
Hey.
Cammie, you'd seen this before.
I have seen Eden Lake before. Yes, I didn't see it in the cinema. Missed me by. I actually sort of would say to our listeners, I did describe us both as lifelong horror fans. Now, we got to know each other at the age of 10, pretty much straight away got involved in watching horror films, rented on VHS, have been pretty fanatical about all sorts of obscure video nasties, that kind of thing, while growing up. And I would say that there was a spell, maybe 10 years ago or something, that my horror viewing lapsed quite severely.
Yep.
So it's something that I've come back to in quite a big way recently, and I feel like I'm still catching up a little bit. But it was my sort of recollections of Eden Lake were... So this is 2008, Eden Lake came out. I did not see it at the time, but I think I watched it pretty shortly after it was released on maybe Netflix or something.
Yeah, it's definitely existed on that. Yeah, it's like it's on Amazon at the moment if anyone's interested. Or is it? Yeah.
And it was a recommendation from yourself, I think. But I'm interested to know. Did you? I noticed when I was doing a little bit of looking into the film that it actually premiered at Fright Fest that year. Did you? Okay. Probably the London Fright Fest. It didn't actually specify the Glasgow one. So, but did you see it in the cinema?
No, I didn't. I kind of stumbled across it just kind of by accident. It was in the times of, I think, probably Blockbuster was probably the last of the high street video rental places that's kind of survived. So yeah, they used to do a deal, and my wife Rachel used to go away down south. So what I generally do is go to Blockbuster, and they had like a older Blu Ray section, and you could get 5 films for £7 for a week.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And Eden Lake was one of those. It was just one of those films I looked at and thought, oh, that looks interesting, I guess. Because, if you're getting 5 for £7, you'll pick up anything, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I picked up that, watched it, and was absolutely blown away by it. One of those films where you're just kind of, after the credits have stopped, and you've gone back to the menu, you're still sitting there absolutely dumbfounded about what you've just seen. And then that's when also Martyrs, which we'll get into on the next one, was also that was in my 5 for £7.
Oh, I was in the same.
Yeah,
was it in the same?
It was in the same
God.
thing, and that's how I got that double bill my thing, because I watched that pretty much straight after, and obviously almost wanted to kill myself after that. So I've always owned those two films and kind of done my kind of yearly double bill until my office was broken into, and a lot of my films were stolen. 2 of them being those 2. But interestingly, I got a call from the police on Tuesday morning, which is obviously...
This Tuesday morning?
Yeah, which when I've just put my mum on a train to London, I was like, oh no, what's happened here?
The police on the phone, someone has turned the shower on the train and we can't get it off. We think your mum's responsible.
Yeah. Well, you can understand my panic at that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But the guy was like, when the police, like, if they call, they straight follow up with like, nothing to worry about. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
But so a bunch of other stuff got stolen in the break-in, including a few hard drives, which just has like some backup stuff in them. And they called to say, I think we've got one of your hard drives. I was like,
right?
We've got a guy in custody. They actually arrested and the guy was put in jail. They caught the guy who did the break-in. But they're like, we've got a guy in custody, searched his place, and we think this is one of your hard drives. I was like, okay. He goes, what do you do? I was like, make wedding videos and stuff. He's like, all right, yeah, okay. Have you ever done any work for Edinburgh University? I was like, yeah, I have. And he goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is your hard drive. I was like, okay. And he goes, but there seems to be, I think they've put a lot of other files on it. I was like,
right?
What kind of files? And he goes, well, I'll be honest, it's a lot of porn. I was, oh, okay. I was like, what kind of porn are we talking about? I thought, is this going to be some kind of entrapment thing?
Oh, man.
When I turn up and the guy's like, we've got all this child porn on this hard drive. I was like, what? No, I've never seen that before in my life.
Shit.
And the guy's like, well, we haven't actually opened any of the files, but judging by the names of the files, we would say it's pornography. Just pretty general stuff. I was like, right, okay. So anyway, I went to pick up the hard drive, and right enough, there was an absolute screw. I had probably about it's a 250 gig drive, and I kind of backed up all these drives ages ago, and this one got nicked. I didn't even notice it had gone, to be honest. Just had like a few wee things in it, but yeah, most of it had been taken up with pornography.
Oh shit! But so what were these people doing? Like, were they just like stealing hard drives so they can fill them with porn?
I don't know. As I say, when I got broken into, I mean, it was pretty bad. They took the PS4, they took my projector, they took. I'm pretty lucky because they didn't take my editing computer.
Yeah.
Basically anything they could carry easily, along with stuff that was easy just to punt off.
God.
So yeah,
a bunch of scumbags.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty. But on the bright side, I've got a lot of porn I've not seen before.
So you saw it on video, you didn't catch it in the cinema, and you just randomly picked up? Because I don't actually recall. Like I said, I did have a bit of a lapse in my horror following, but I guess there was a time when I was younger where I'd have been picking up on new horror films through magazines and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess these days, unless I go out of my way to go to Fright Fest or something when it's in Glasgow, or if I was to travel down to London, I mean, I guess a lot of these lower budget horror films, many of which are amazing, a lot of them are bullshit, but like, you know, there are some amazing films made out there. They just don't really get the publicity, I don't think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree. You know, you watch a film like this and it's really well made. It's great. And
it's really fucking well made.
Acting is fucking superb.
Well, it's really interesting, like, first leading role for Kelly Riley, and like, arguably first leading role for Michael Fassbender.
I was going to say, do you know what kind of stage he was at his career when he did this?
Well,
because I keep forgetting it's 10 years ago now.
Yeah, he'd done 3 films before this. He'd done 300, which was his first film, I think. Mm-hmm. He'd done a film called Angel.
Was he bare-chested in that by any chance?
I don't know, I've never seen it, actually.
Yeah, too many bare chests for me.
He did a film called Angel, which I have no idea what it is, and then he did Hunger. Aside from that, this was his next film, so Eden Lake. So really early Fassbender, and he has gone like ballistic. I mean, what film is Fassbender now not in? Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely skyrocketing.
I think he was even in Sherlock Gnomes, which I saw quite recently.
Oh, yeah. It has to be said that both John and I have young children, so there may be, in amongst any of our horror chat, there may be kid film chat.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm quite glad I went to see The Purge, and that now I can at least say the last film I saw in the cinema wasn't Sherlock Gnomes, which it would have been otherwise.
But yeah, I mean, after this, Fassbender went on to do Inglourious Bastards, which we watched recently for our Quentin Tarantino series, and then X-Men, and then on to like Prometheus, the new Alien film, 12 Years a Slave, blah 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 blah. So yeah, I mean, he was sort of meteoric rise for him, and Kelly Riley was brilliant as well in it. I mean, like, the two of them are so standout. They're absolutely fantastic. I really think.
And of course, the young cast are really good as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the film that's not good. I think everyone is brilliant.
Yeah, no, certainly Jack O'Connell as the sort of lead bastard, I suppose you would say. Yeah. He's really good. I don't know if I think he'd maybe only just come off Skins at that point, maybe.
Well, I say I never watched Skins, so I wondered if he. But Thomas Turgoose, who's the other kid in that, he was in.
This Is England, is it?
Yeah, This Is England.
Yeah,
kid.
Very famous film.
Yeah.
Now, Jack O'Connell's gone pretty stratospheric as well, really. He's in a lot of stuff, and one film I'd totally recommend if you haven't seen it is 71. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, I've never seen it. In fact, I've never even heard of it.
Get involved.
The director, James Watkins, it was his debut film as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
And it's incredibly accomplished for a debut film, and like for a film that's like, clearly, I couldn't find any budget information about it actually online. They've never published the budget, but it's clearly very low budget. You look at the making of stuff, there's a sort of brief behind the scenes, 5 minutes. I mean, it's like super low budget. Despite the fact that it's shot in 35mm, which also, it must have been at the tail end of independent, low budget British feature films getting shot in 35mm as well. I just can't imagine anybody doing that nowadays, you know?
No, I mean, you're shooting it on a 5D a lot of the time, aren't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. He went on to do The Women in Black, which I haven't seen, and also Bastille Day, which I also haven't seen. I mean, I didn't see The Women in Black because I'm not really into sort of ghosty horror stories.
I know what you mean. Really, it took me a while to get around to watching it because I'm kind of similar.
I'm also a bit worried. I'm very sceptical of Daniel Radcliffe, perhaps unfairly, but I just think my experience of him through the Harry Potter films is that he's not a particularly great actor.
Yeah, and I've seen him in a few things that out with that, and he's been thoroughly palatable. He's all right, I think. But it's always quite difficult. I think it is. I know. and it's difficult. Must be difficult for him, to try and.
Yeah,
you've been in that for so many years that it becomes you, doesn't it? And you're always going to be seen as Harry feckin' Potter. So,
I guess. I mean, I'm sure his pockets have been quite fairly lined. However,
I'm sure they have.
He's probably not that upset about it.
As for the pockets of many prostitutes, I should imagine.
Will we say we're going to take a break here?
Let's take a break, guys.
Welcome back, folks, from that short break, which we took, but you probably didn't, because we've got no adverts or anything to put in there. Just a break for us.
Or never will, I should imagine.
So, on with the movie, I guess. To summarise, if you've not seen the film, we are gonna spoil it a little bit here.
No, we're going to ruin it.
We're going to absolutely ruin it. Eden Lake, 2008. The premise of the film: young professional couple. She's a primary school teacher. Her boyfriend is going to take her away for the weekend to a romantic rural spot that's about to be developed. Go away camping, do a bit of swimming, chilling out in general. They turn up having left the city, and they pitch up at this idyllic woodland retreat with a lovely lake with a beach on it. Pitch up on the beach and are joined a short distance away by a group of youngsters. I don't know, it doesn't really say what their age is as well, but they're young teenagers. They're not not older. I'd say maybe the ringleader is probably the eldest, maybe say 16 or something.
Yeah, that's kind of vibe I got
15,
from it.
16, yeah. So, but there's a few of them that are probably a bit younger anyway. Anyway, they're out rabble-rousing, got their ghetto blaster on, and just generally effing and blinding a bit, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you're like, oh God, what would you do in that situation? Me personally, I probably would just leave, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'm probably with you now. That's one of the things about the film is, I think what kind of leads to the kind of creeping dread is, Michael Fassbender's character is constantly confronting or getting involved in things, and you're constantly like, stop it, doing this, let it go.
Totally. He approaches him, asks him very politely if they could keep the noise down a bit. They just fucking bite straight away. They start winding him up, and it all spirals out of control.
Yeah,
quite disastrously, and the couple end up effectively being hunted down in the woods by these, or tormented by these teenagers. And it's just like a complete descent into madness.
Yeah, I think the most infuriating part of the Fassbender just pursuing this is, I think the kids slash their tires. That's the kind of first act. They go into town, and I think they spot the kids' bikes outside a house or something, and so he goes in. He goes to not only does he go into the grounds of the property to investigate, he goes into the house. Actually just goes into the house. At which point the father comes home, and he has to kind of race upstairs to get away from him, and the kids are tormenting a rabbit in the garden.
Oh no.
Which is quite a minging scene as well.
Rabbit worrying.
Yeah. From that bit on, that really sets the scene for me. It's just like, oh God, this just, and they're back in the woods later on. It's a car gets stolen, isn't it?
Yes. The car gets stolen.
Yeah. So that's when the real fucking horror
kicks in. That's when the real, because the kids do get the upper hand. They manage to steal the car keys of the couple while they're in having a swim. They manage to get the car, and it just accelerates rapidly from there, basically, and they end up sort of bound and tortured, murdered by the kids. And then it's just like a mad scramble to the end. Holy shit, this film has the darkest ending. I mean, do you know what? It's just fucking horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
It's just one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yes, totally.
I mean, no, isn't it? I mean, and obviously when that kind of first torture scene where they capture Michael Fassbender's character, what's it actually called in this? It's like some generic name, Steve. There we go.
Steve.
Couldn't get much more generic. Sorry, Stevie, if you're listening to this, but
Stevie doesn't do podcasts, does he?
No, he's a bit. We can just say anything we like about him. What a big cunt
totally.
Stevie is. To be honest, though, he is going to do the artwork for this, so maybe we'll leave off him a little bit.
Yeah, not such a big cunt after all.
No, really nice cunt. Oh, that first torture scene is horrendous. I've got like a Jack O'Connell's character, Brett, goading his friends into just turn by turn stabbing him. He's just been bound with like barbed wire or something. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I would say that the barbed wire binding is maybe a sort of art direction step too far in what's a pretty sort of down and dirty sort of realistic. Obviously know what's happening is very realistic, but do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's bound in barbed wire. I mean, shit, man, those kids must have had some pretty heavyweight gloves with them to bind him in barbed wire. But and that's when we start to get the nasty stuff, and holy shit, it is really grim. I mean, he's stabbed repeatedly while he's tied up. He gets a when they have the
knife in the mouth.
Stanley knife in the mouth. Oh man,
just horrendous. God, when you see the close-up wounds that he's received, and that's cool. It's all really
good effect, good practical effects,
excellent physical effects, really nice. Which is another thing I'd say about The Purge. Is I had one of my the first Purge. I had one of my greatest bugbears of all time, which was CGI blood.
I hate CGI blood. Is it a gory film? It is kind of a gory film, but there's no real sort of
There's no blood splashing around or anything. It's very it has really just gone for the, and that's what makes it more effective. It's got that kind of real, because when you see sprays of blood coming out, you're in cartoon territory,
Yeah, totally,
and it's great to watch and it's good fun. But when you've just got seeping open wounds, it's just like, oh god, that's. You can almost feel that, you know what I mean? You're almost touching your side when you see that wound, like, oh my god.
Oh, I know. He handles it like a champ, actually, Fassbender.
Yeah, and then dies.
Yeah, burnt alive.
Yeah. Well, no, was he not already dead when he was
dead? Is he dead by then? Is he? Yeah. God, it's horrendous.
But she's tied, right, so yeah.
She's tied to him and she manages to escape.
Yeah, at which point, I think we were talking about this before we started recording. At which point, it must be the first and possibly only necklacing kill I've ever seen in a film.
Oh, is it? I've got a funny feeling there's a necklacing at some point in Friday the 13th, but certainly the first like really horrendous sort of realistic necklacing incident.
Yeah,
I mean, well, both of us having grown up through the sort of apartheid era, being on the news all the time and stuff when we were younger. That was always a horrendous thing to have seen on the news, like as a kid.
It's that point in the film. It's like, wow, how much more grim can this get? Like, right. Okay, yep.
And that happens to a child.
Yeah,
a completely innocent. Well.
Relatively innocent. He does lead Kelly Riley's character to the kids.
He's probably doing it to save his own skin, and it all backfires. Oh God, it's horrendous, horrendous. God, and well, see, and when she escapes and stands on the metal.
Oh, the fucking spike!
Oh, God, and it has to hammer it out.
Oh,
it has to kick it through.
And then, of course, after that happens, she has to climb into a barrel of shit to escape them.
Oh, God. Well, do you know what, actually? Here's a funny thing.
Oh, God. Did you climb into a barrel of shit this week?
Not quite, but one of the things that happened to our stay at Verties was he was like, I noticed you've got some leather gloves in your truck, like work gloves. I was like, yeah. He's like, so I grabbed them, give me a hand. There's like loads of matter in the bins outside. Like in the shared clothes, so we had to go out and empty the bins. It gave me a proper like gag. Like sort of that. Jesus. Oh God! Well, shared living. I mean, you live in your own place now, like but that living in a close in Glasgow, you've got a tenement. You've got like up to maybe 8 other flats, 7 other flats with their rubbish out, and the bins get disastrous sometimes, and it was grim. I would see when she opened that bin, I was like, I know exactly what it smells like. That was absolutely horrendous.
I think it's not long after that she stabs this England man in the throat.
Thomas Turgis.
That's his man.
Yeah, which is also extreme. And also she's instantly sort of apologetic for it as well.
Oh, regrets it instantly. And you can see it in her face. And you have some sympathy with the kids because they've all been really forced into their actions by Jack O'Connell's character. And so it's tough to watch because, if he really had his own choice, he wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have put a knife into that man, but...
Oh, they're all getting blackmailed as well by him because
he's filmed
them stabbing him so that he can go to the police with it.
Yeah, so it's like, you've got to do it, otherwise show this footage to everyone. And just look in his face when he realises he's dying, it's like, oh, this is... God almighty.
God, I know. And then we're sort of galloping towards the end then, when you think she's... So it's kind of always the same in these films, though, isn't it? They think they've made it they think they made it to safety, and then
something happens.
The final twist happens, sort of thing. It reminded me a bit of have you ever seen Southern Comfort?
Yeah.
The Walter Hill film, when they get to the village and they sort of get to safety, and then they start thinking like, shit, are all these people the people that we've basically been running from?
Yeah.
It's kind of that vibe. You can see it all just going tits up when she gets to that house. Oh God!
Because that's what you think. Well, I suppose we know because we can recognise some of the folk that are in there in a way.
Yeah.
So, but you still think, well, okay, they don't know any of this has actually gone down. They're oblivious to it. So all you're really just desperate for is the police to come and take her away. That's all you want.
Totally. Just get the police here. Yeah, and she's like, no, call the police. Like,
I think
call the police.
She asked for an ambulance. And I think they go to
ambulance,
do it.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's when that's when she notices, because the kids have got a dog with them. This is when it really goes properly fucking tits up, which we didn't mention. It's Michael Fassbender...
murders his dog.
Murders
the kid's dog.
Yeah, and that's when it really goes properly mental. And then so she notices there's 2 dog bowls, and one of the bowls has the name of the dog that was killed. So she now knows she's in the house of the parents of that child.
Oh fuck!
And then they come to the realization that whoever's in the bathroom has killed one of their children.
Yeah.
They don't know under what circumstances. And so that extremely, extremely grim last scene of her in the bathroom and 3 burly men knocking the door down.
And going in to murder her, basically.
Going in, that's it. It's like they're not going in to beat her up, they're going in there to kill her. Cover up the evidence and get on with their lives. Absolutely horrifying.
Horrendous.
Just horrifying. I mean, I can't... Neither of us can describe it well enough. You really, really have to see it.
I mean, I think that if you're a genre fan, you will like it no matter what. But it's interesting looking on Letterboxd, though, looking at the reviews, it's pretty polarising. I mean, people either really like it or they really hate it, and people that really hate it are sort of, very vocal about why they hate it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's clear that some people just shouldn't be watching genre films at all. Or like actually massively morally offended. I guess when you're sort of reading into it, it sort of buys into this whole Broken Britain thing.
Yeah.
And that's a sort of big sort of class issue really over here, I guess. I don't really subscribe to that myself. I mean, you're coming from a long sort of tradition of these sort of revenge, sort of home invasion takeover like films, I reckon. I mean, I was getting definite Deliverance vibes from it. And what you can say, what is Deliverance like? Anti-redneck. Definitely strong Straw Dogs vibes. I Spit in Your Grave vibes as well.
A little bit.
Getting a bit of that. It's a lot less rapey though.
Thankfully, that would have been too much to take.
If you're not a horror fan, then not 100% sure why you'd be bothering to listen to this.
Yeah, podcast. I think I'm looking at the front of the box, right? The quote from Empire is one of the most provocative and terrifying thrillers of the year. Now, I can understand why people would pick that up and then watch it and be like, oh, you are fucking kidding me.
Well, it's an interesting thing, the whole marketing of it as well, because I see it as it's a horror film. It's for me. Do you know what I mean? It's a horror film. It's not. Yeah, it's got like, you know, you could class it as a thriller as well, but I would label it as a horror film.
All I'm going to say is I love this film, and it's a hard film to love, but I just think it hits so many nails in the head. I mean, it is absolutely hard.
It's tense. It's so tense.
Super tense.
Unbelievably
when
tense.
The violence comes, it's insane. Absolutely visceral to the point of being, you know, it's real. It's got a realistic vibe to it. And it was interesting. I will get into this from the quick Blu Ray review, but you know, the director saying he was picking up the paper and he was like, you know, reading stories. He was like, my God. He's like, he goes, this happens. Things like this happen in Britain. Yeah. And so that's why he's kind of defending it, saying it's not over the top because these things are happening out there.
Yeah. The thing in this film is that it's not like there's a situation that he's trying to break up or anything like that. He's not seen the kids harassing anybody. You know, he's gone out of his way to go over there. And actually, it's the bit when he first confronts them, the bit I thought was really good was that, you know, like obviously the main dude's like, oh, I can't hear you, mate. He's like, okay, turn your music down, can't hear you, mate. But then the girl is like, are you fucking looking at my tits?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You're like, you see his face drop and you're like, how the fuck? How do you deal with that? Do you know what I mean?
You can't come back with that.
You've got to just walk away. You've got to just walk away.
Yeah.
It's like creating a situation out of nothing, you know? It's antagonising you out of nowhere. Yeah. I like it. It's great. But Barry Ann came home last night, started watching it for a bit and was like quite into it, and then just like got really upset really quickly and had to leave the room. But for me personally, yeah, I think I'm giving it a definite thumbs up. It's a hard watch. There's no denying it. It's, you know, unrelenting. But a great little movie. And a great first film, and really great to see so many great performances and a really nicely shot little movie.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's highly accomplished. It looks fucking great. You know, it's filmed really nicely.
It does, yeah.
There's some pretty shonky aerial footage in it, but that aside, it looks absolutely great. You know, they haven't overglossed it. I mean, it still looks quite raw, but they've shot it beautifully, man. Everything about it's captivating to watch. And, you know, for a first film, dear Lord. Unbelievable.
Written and directed. I mean, he's got to be proud of it. I mean, he has to be proud of it.
Yeah, I would be, no question about it. God, if I hadn't made that, I'd just stop. So I'm not going to better that.
Yeah,
I'm out of the game. That's me. I'm gone. I'm out.
So we've talked about the film, and I think it's safe to say that John and I are both big fans. One thing we're going to want to do, we didn't get to do in our last podcast actually, we started off very early on when we did the Kevin Smith series. We started off doing a bit of a Blu Ray review at the end of every episode, and Kat was mind-numbingly bored. I was like, you two are a bunch of fucking losers. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let's not do this anymore. So we've got two features that we will do after the review on every episode. We will give a review of the Blu Ray, and then we'll have a little feature at the end called What Would James Ferman Think? Which we will explain.
We will explain when we get there.
For listeners younger than, I don't know, maybe the age of 35 or something.
Yeah, maybe even younger, I don't know.
Maybe younger, maybe listeners under the age of 30 and listeners outside of the UK. Basically.
Yep.
Anyone outside the UK, we'll explain that. We're going to try and pick up the Blu-ray for everything that we can.
As often as we can. I mean, I guess we'll review the disc briefly anyway, whatever we get. For me, the first time I saw a Blu-ray, I basically stopped watching DVDs.
Same here. I mean,
instantly.
Yeah. I mean, we do. Has to be said that we've got our episode 3 is going to be a definite DVD because
Blu-ray do not exist.
No, well, it does.
Does
but
it?
Only in foreign territories that aren't English speaking, which means that there's no English subtitles.
Well, to be honest, I'll keep this quite brief on my part of the thing. We both work in visual jobs, I think it's fair to say, but that does not qualify us to properly review a Blu-ray, I don't think. We're not going to be, we're not sitting here staring at vectorscopes and bit rates and all that kind of business. It's just what's coming in our eyes, our bespectacled eyes.
Yeah.
And I will say right off, picture-wise, and I'm not going to say much more about it picture-wise, this is got to be near reference quality.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
It's superb. Everything about it is great. It's a lot of stuff. Kind of watch on Netflix and things, which is all good and well. I like it. It's a service. But both you and I watch things on a projector. Yeah. And a lot of stuff has, things fall down, artifacts, all kinds of weird things going on in the picture. Yeah. This is solid as a rock. Looks absolutely amazing. Colours, shadows, the whole thing is beautiful. The clarity is ridiculous. For a low budget film, it's just like wow.
For a low budget film, and yeah, fair enough, it's shot in 35mm, so it's going to be a lot better than anything,
But at the same time, they must have shot it extremely well on that format to get this out of it.
Oh, totally. And I mean, the night stuff isn't a sort of grainy mess.
Nope.
It's been. I'm sure their lighting budget wasn't massive on it. I mean, the budget for the whole film wasn't massive, but I mean, it's been shot low budget, probably pretty grimy conditions. I mean, I noticed on some of the special features that James Watkins saying that it was the summer that just rained constantly, all summer. But I mean, the film looks absolutely fantastic. A lot more modern films, you expect them to look great when they come out because they've been shot digitally. Yeah. There's not going to be any sort of print issues or anything like that. But I mean, this has no noticeable damage. There's no errors. There's no artifacts or anything coming up. So yeah, fantastic.
Looking at the extras, if you're an extras hound, you'll probably be a bit underwhelmed. So it's basically just interviews, really.
It's almost like a... And I've got to say,
the interview with the director looks horrendous.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I think that all the extras on this are actually part of the EPK, the electronic press kit.
I very much agree, yeah.
They're all sort of intertitled with the questions that are being asked, and the questions are all fairly similar. Yeah. I mean, I kind of, to be fair, I skipped through Kelly Riley's one and Michael Fassbender's. I'm slightly less interested in the actor's point of view.
She was quite interesting. Kelly Riley I thought was quite interesting. She was very... seemed very reserved and almost quite nervous about it. So it was quite interesting to see after such a kind of brave performance in a film.
Yeah, totally. Interview-wise, the director's initial interview and the producer's interviews are both pretty interesting. Actors, the thing is, I just don't think there's much. I think they're all covering the same sort of ground.
There's nothing as you say, it's it's very much, certainly the actor stuff very much looks. If you're not familiar with the electronic press kit, it's basically something the production company will send to, say, a TV station. And it almost makes it look like the TV station has interviewed those actors, but they haven't. It's just on a tape and they just splice it in. Out of all of them, the producer's one was probably the most interesting for me. But
no, definitely. And I actually, because I work in film anyway, the bit that I found interesting was the behind the scenes thing, which I thought, I don't know. I need to maybe watch some more of these things. But the behind the scenes thing on this is short. It's only 5 or 6 minutes, but it's completely. There's no explanation for what's going on at any point.
No, it's just
like
things.
Raw footage that someone's filmed, which I find interesting because I'm looking at what's going on and I'm used to working on a film set. But I just find it a little bit bizarre if you're a fan of the film and you don't work in the film industry, then you might be a bit like, oh God,
what's this?
What the fuck?
I find that a lot. A lot of the behind the scenes stuff, looks like that. It's just like things happening literally behind the scenes. There's no narrative to it. It's just there's a shot of something happening, and here's a shot of something completely different happening. It's a guy with a clapperboard. There you go, lovely. On to the next bit. So yeah, it is what it is. I didn't watch the trailers, I've got to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you something. I did watch the trailers.
I read about the trailers and I thought that's probably about as much as I need to know.
Because one of the trailers is called the Extreme trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to watch that. Holy... I have no idea who that trailer was. Where they intended it to be shown. I mean, it is basically all the violence in the film in 2 minutes.
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
Total insanity. It is utter insanity. It's weird. I mean, the marketing for the film, I mean, the font for the titles in the trailer is terrible.
Look, you know what? If only the film was on the... If you put this disc into the machine and it just started playing the film, there wasn't even a menu, I'd be like, great DVD, great Blu-ray, sorry.
Yeah. I think the only sound mix on it's a DTS 5.1.
Yeah.
It sounded great. It, seemed to make pretty basic but sort of functional use of the speakers. So yeah. You're not really going to get any insights in it. There's no commentary. Actually, to be fair, from watching interviews with the director, I don't particularly think that you would glean. Maybe you would glean something. Actually, it seems like a nice guy, but
you might. No, I think he says about as much about the film as you would hear in a commentary. I think in that segment of interview.
Yeah. So Blu-ray, thumbs up from us.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up. It's not spectacular, but for a picture, it's like you can't go wrong.
Totally. So now moving on to what is always going to be our final section of the podcast. What would James Ferman do? And
this will require explanation.
Here comes the explanation. We'll maybe try and whittle this explanation down a little bit more in the future. In case you can't tell by our accents, John and I live in Scotland, which is part of the United Kingdom. We grew up as horror fans through the 80s. Films in the United Kingdom are legally required to carry a rating by the British Board of Film Classification, who were the former censors, but now classifiers, although they also do cut things. Throughout the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the director of the BBFC was a chap called James Ferman, a very interesting character. He took charge of the BBFC when they had no accountability, no public accountability, and their decision-making process was a complete mystery to everyone. To show your film you don't technically need a rating, I guess, to show your film in the cinema. But after the video nasty scare, so early 80s, VHS goes crazy, VHS and Beta go crazy in the UK, but there's no legal requirement for a rating on your videos. British press, as it does, starts to have a canary public witch hunt about video nasties and how they're destroying the nation's youth. So it becomes a legal requirement for films to have a certificate. So the bogeyman for us growing up as horror fans was James Ferman, the man that cut the films that we wanted to see, and we started to hear about these like amazing uncut versions of films that are available elsewhere in the world and started reading about what we were missing over here. So we've decided to do a section called What Would James Ferman Think? Now often we will be saying exactly what he thought because we might be watching films that he presided over in their classification. With this one, however, he was already dead.
He had passed away some moons ago.
He did pass away. Very interesting character, James Ferman, though, because he claimed to be a great libertarian, I guess. But
well, that was it. It's like as I was talking to you about before we started recording this. I've never really Googled James Ferman. I've always had my opinion of him, and that's been about it. And a lot of the articles say he was a real libertarian. I'm like, what? And the thing you have to remember when you're talking about the video nasties here in the UK, the home video market and cinema were very different. In that, some things would be passed uncut in the cinema and then banned or cut heavily on video.
Yeah.
And so that was our kind of beef with it. And I was just reading through it. This is quite interesting. So he screened a copy of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre for a bunch of middle-class people. And his actual words after the film, after showing it, I don't know what he was trying to prove a point of some description. He was like, it's all right for you middle-class cineasts to see this film, but what would happen if a factory worker in Manchester happened to see it? Actual quote.
Well, this is the thing that's very easy to level at James Ferman. He was very, and we touched on this earlier with the film with Eden Lake, that there has been criticism of it being very sort of classist. And Ferman has come from a sort of strong tradition of BBFC directors before him that also think that, you know, there's a difference between the intellectual middle class who are able to
process,
watch these films and process what's going on, and, you know, won't be affected by it, and the working class who are, you know, less educated and will be stirred to violence or you know, debased, or, you know, we're going to go on a sort of riot of rape and murder if they see these films. And these things have been stoked by the press a bit as well, but I mean, that's the thing that, you know, I mean, he's
I've got to be honest, if you don't live in Britain, you just wouldn't understand. You couldn't understand the press in this place.
No,
it's an absolute
outrageous
nightmare.
Total
it's a complete nightmare. Tabloid papers, sensationalism. They just want to grasp something, bring it down, bring everyone else down with it, make you scared. And that's not just British press, that's press around the world, or, you know, fear mongers essentially. But in Britain, they take it to whole new levels. Unbelievable. The whole time we grew up, it was interesting what films were, you know, if you were a schlocky horror film, you were going to get cut. You're definitely going to get cut. Or possibly banned.
Or possibly banned.
Yeah.
You know, if you were an art house film, you know, famously 120 Days of... was it? Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. Famously uncut. I think I Know Corrida, cinema release uncut as well, but, you know, definitely banned. Definitely banned at home. You cannot see these films.
Yeah.
We can't allow people at home. And also, it's important to say as well that the distinction does exist in British law between seeing films in the cinema and seeing them at home. So when they're classifying films for home release, they've got to consider the fact that children may see these films. You know, completely disregarding parental responsibility. What they should say is, this film's an 18, it's a parent's responsibility to not show it to children. No, you've got to take into account. There was I remember a time when there was a Tory MP saying that no film above the rating of PG should be allowed for home cinema release, for home video release. Absolute madness. And I mean, I think the thing is that, I mean, we grew up hating the BBFC and everything they stood for, but I'd say that now, I mean, although it's not ideal, the situation we have in the UK now is that they still rate films for cinema, they still rate films for home, but they're a lot more accountable now, open about their ratings. You can see why they've cut things, you can see what's going on. And actually, the thing these days is that it's more likely that films are censored at the request of the studio. And the big thing with that is that the BBFC will often say, this film can be released uncut at the 18, and the distributor says, well, we want it to be a 15 because we can get more people through the doors. So the BBFC say, well, you have to cut it if you want it to be a 15, and that is what often happens. Like, see, recently, like Red Sparrow, things like that, you know, these films have been self-censored effectively by the studio. I mean, there still are films that occasionally get banned, or it's very rare for a film to get cut or banned now, though.
It is. I mean, especially, you know, the studio thing is interesting because obviously they want as many people to see it as possible. Well, they want money, you know, they want to maximise the money. Because a parent of I've actually taken my daughter along to a 12A, and she was 5 at the time. See, this is what the BBFC were talking about: irresponsible parenting.
But what they will say is, you can go to their website, you can read the insight for parents, and when you go to it, if you go to a 12A, it's like, okay, we think this film is suitable for 12-year-olds to go to on their own. If younger children are with parents, then they might be fine with it. You know your child best. So I took her to see Jumanji. She fucking loved it.
Yeah, no, I'm still waiting for the right 12A for it. I don't know, Rachel. I was like, well, you should even see Jurassic Park. She's like, no.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I got a straight up diggy from Marianne for the for taking Esme to Jurassic Park. I was like, come on. I was like, yeah, but I loved Jurassic Park when it came out. And then Marianne was like, how old were you when it came out? 15. In fact, 16 actually. Shit.
Yeah, as I said to Rachel, we could show him the original Jurassic Park. She goes, what is that? It's a 12. How old is he? 5. Right, okay.
He does love dinosaurs though.
Oh, yes, my fear is he might not like them quite as much after he's seen that film.
Anyway, we've had that's a sort of very long-winded explanation. It won't happen every week, but we'll get on with the section.
So we've got a rating system.
We've come up with a rating system.
Now, you have to go through this, because I think it looks like you've written it down. Have you?
Well, I have not written it down,
Shit.
which is a problem.
Okay.
But I'm going to check now, because
I think it's a 5-point rating system.
It's a 5-point rating system, and the one thing that we both know and agree on right now is that number 5 is spinning in his grave.
Yep. I think that's fair. And we both agreed number 1 is merely an raised eyebrow.
A raised eyebrow. Raised eyebrow. Totally. Well, let me just go back through our chat here and see what the crack is. I think so. We start off with raised eyebrow.
Yeah.
We then move on to shake of the head. Number 3 is reaching for the scissors. Now, there was some debate about number 4.
Okay.
I think that we ultimately decided wanking into a sock. I think it initially started off as being sick.
Was it not? Hang on. Yeah, there was being sick, and then I think you suggested, or it was not morally outraged.
Morally outraged, that was it. Morally outraged. So it's morally outraged.
Let's not talk about dead people wanking at the socks. Come on.
No.
This is pretty. I think this is a fairly
This is fairly cut and dry.
This is a no-brainer, to be honest.
This is a spinning in his grave, for certain. I mean, this film, in the video nasties era, in the 80s, under Ferman, would not have been released on video. I do not think.
It would have been sent straight back to the producers.
And I also think that the thing is that part of this section was, I think, should be like, what would be cut in the film. I think that he would not cut. He wouldn't be able to cut anything. I think he would just refuse it as a certificate.
No, I agree.
Because part of it's overall tone. I mean, his big problem with Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that there's no gore in it, but you cannot cut anything to diminish the overall tone of the film.
Yeah, that is the same with this. That's exactly the same with this. I think, back in the day, if someone had pushed that at him, it'd be like, it wouldn't be dissimilar to somebody showing you, I spit in your grave, to be honest.
No,
I know the films are different. There's no rape scenes or anything like that. But you couldn't take any of those scenes out without destroying the film.
No. I mean, I think that if he was going to cut anything, if there was something that would be cut, it would be the stabbing scene. I think basically you would have him tied up with barbed wire next to a fire,
and then the end credits roll.
Suddenly you just have the fire going and her escaping. There'd be no necklacing. There'd be no it would just be a complete mishmash. I think that it's a definite spinning in his grave. This
absolutely,
one for Ferman.
Full 5-star Ferman does not approve of this.
But actually, looking at the BBFC Insight. You can go to their website now and you can see what they have to say about it. If you're worried about what you might think of a film and you want to know more about it before you go and see it, you can go and click on the button that gives you a little insight. And their insight, I thought, for this was particularly great. Their insight for this is prolonged sequences of sustained terrorization in which the victims are chased and attacked in a highly sadistic manner.
That sums it up quite nicely.
Totally.
It's almost like a recommendation.
It is almost totally. I mean, I think that sort of ties us up nicely. So if you're not in the UK as well, and you don't know what I meant earlier on by saying Six Music's the chain, it's a long-running radio show where there is, I don't know what's actually classed as. It's like officially the longest-running listener picked theme of like string of music ever, and they play a tune and then people recommend something that would match it, and it keeps going on and on and on. So we've watched Eden Lake this time. We're moving on to Because It's John's classic double bill. We're moving on to Martyrs next, and the link is that they are both horrendous. The links will become a bit more transparent as we go forward, but yeah, the sort of starting point for us recording this first episode and sort of looking to do this podcast is that this classic double bill was undoable on our previous podcast, so
we've gone with it. And so yeah, our third film will link, third and fourth film.
We'll link on from that.
We'll link on fairly obviously, I think.
Fairly obviously as well.
Yeah.
Fairly obviously. And then we'll see where we go from there. Well, Chief Harpoonist Jon.
Yes, Captain.
Thanks for coming up with the idea of the podcast and the first two films. We will reconvene shortly to watch Martyrs.
Better get that bastard watched at some point.
Holy shit.
Although it's imprinted on my brain, so I don't know if I really
well, same here. I know. Thanks a lot for listening, everyone, and hope you enjoyed Eden Lake. If you haven't watched Eden Lake before, go and get it watched. Sorry we spoiled it. You will still love it. And if you are listening along, then join us for Martyrs in an indeterminate amount of time. Who knows? See ya.
Night, folks. Thank you.